Hi, welcome to Movable Canvas, where we talk about cinema, art, culture, and where those three things sometimes intersect. In today's episode, we'll discuss the box office smash and Oscar-nominated film Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig. Now, I can honestly say that I've never exactly considered myself to be the target demographic for a film about a pink-clad plastic doll played with by little girls all around the world for decades. Like most men my age, I grew up in the age of G.I. Joe, the little plastic army man designed for little boys to learn about manhood through, well, fighting, I guess. Barbies were purely my sister's domain, and the only time I interacted with the idealized moving mannequins was when I stole one of my sister's Ken dolls and forced them to play in my G.I. Joe basketball league. I was a weird kid. Also, on a side note, I should take this opportunity to apologize to my sister for stealing her doll. Even more so because that particular Ken doll was one of the rare African-American Ken dolls at the time, which had like this realistic afro, which I rather selfishly chose to shave off to give him something of a buzz cut that I thought was cool at the time. I guess there wasn't any chance that doll would actually become a collector's item. But at any rate, it's pretty clear that I haven't spent a great deal of time thinking about Barbie dolls over the course of my life. And until this new film, had you told me that there was a film being made about Barbie, I could pretty much guarantee you that I would have been the last person in line. Then again, if you tell me there's a film being directed by Greta Gerwig, starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, well, I'll be there in an instant. So with conflicted feelings, I plunked down my money down one afternoon and picked up a ticket at the box office to see the film opening day. And against all odds, when I emerged from the theater 2 hours later, I had no choice to admit that the film that was called Barbie was one of the best movies I'd seen that year. Of course, I might have been primed to enjoy the film as much as I did because it was coming right on the end of the pandemic. And so walking into the theater and walking to the lobby and just seeing just a horde of people all dressed in pink, clearly I had missed that memo. It really did fill the heart to see so many people out there at the movies. As someone whose favorite pastime is going to the cinema, the pandemic, which shall go unnamed, hit especially hard. First being unable to attend movies at all, then eventually having theaters kind of, trickle back open with limited audiences there to see only a handful of available films, introed by the now ubiquitous Nicole Kidman intro. It had gotten to the point where I had simply gotten used to mostly empty seats. So when I walked into the theater that Thursday afternoon to see Barbie, seeing the theater jam-packed with patrons, all dressed in pink, and genuinely excited to see a movie on the big screen, I think the entire experience just kind of touched my heart before they had even projected a single frame of film. Then when the supposedly simple story about a girl's toy started to roll, and I was immediately greeted with a quotation from Stanley Kubrick's 2001, it became evident that I was in for more than just a stupid movie about a toy. It was immediately apparent that I was in the hands of a master filmmaker that was taking as much care with each frame of this movie about a Barbie doll as she did in adapting Little Women. Greta Gerwig has been an actress in film since 2006, but it wasn't until the 2012 film Frances Ha, which she starred in and co-wrote with her husband Noah Baumbach, that it really sank in just how talented she was. She created an absolutely riveting on-screen character and an idiosyncratic story that kept me on the edge of my seat. It was clear that she wasn't just good in the conventional way that many Hollywood careers start. No, she was like special. I had the pleasure of attending a screening of Barbie with Greta and Tennis at the DGA here in Los Angeles, and I immediately got the sense of what makes her an amazing artist. As she responded to questions both intelligently but also unconventionally, what I saw on stage was a woman whose brain just works a bit different than most. Like that kid in high school that the other kids thought was a little weird, but then they grew up and you realize they weren't weird, they were just like bleeping brilliant, and their brain was working on a whole different wavelength than the rest of us. I think it took that kind of outside-the-box thinking to take a product placement toy movie like Barbie and turn it into what truly is a great work of cinema. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Barbie? Cinema? Please. Now, I know Chris has just lost his mind. Cinema needs to be dark, depressing, shine a light on the evils of man, make us cry, or be so abstract that even though we don't really understand it, we can safely proclaim it great at a dinner party because, well, no one else there understood it either, and thus it must be worthy of awards. Films like Barbie don't really win that many awards. Even the Academy Awards chose not to nominate Greta Gerwig for Best Director. But I'm here to tell you, making a commercial film that is consistently entertaining, has an actual message, and can still get through the web of studio executives and brand partnerships while becoming beloved by audiences all over the world, that's no easy feat. I've tried. It's hard as hell. Part of the genius of someone like Gerwig is that she made exactly what she was hired to make. A big studio picture with a massive commercial tie-in to a famous brand IP that would satisfy little girls while meeting box office predictions for the studio. But within those confines, she still managed to create a film that was meaningful and memorable. Ryan Gosling's Ken character, for example, is definitely going to go down as one of those screen performances that will be remembered for generations to come. Somehow he managed to both embody the patriarchy and skewer it all at the same time. Again, I am a straight man and definitely guilty of trying to explain The Godfather to more than one date in my life. I am that guy, but the comedy in the film is so incisive that even I was falling out laughing in the aisles. And Ryan Gosling is so good at subverting his own good looks that he can somehow be the film's antagonist while also having us root for him at the same time. He can perform a song like I'm Just Ken and have me laughing at how ridiculous the song is, while at the same time tapping my feet and kind of rocking in my seat. The film's musical numbers keep the pace pumping throughout. But like the movie itself, it's easy to overlook the cinematic accomplishment taking place on screen. Take, for example, the big battle scene where the Kens have a war/dance-off. If you forget for a second all the Technicolor wardrobe and rubber arrows and simply consider Gerwig's composition and how she stages the battle scenes, it's stuff worthy of John Ford. And even the film's artificial look is incredibly difficult to achieve. The film was shot primarily on sound stages, aside from a couple locations here in Los Angeles. In many ways, shooting on locations is actually easier than working inside a studio. In LA, you have a real beach to work with. In studio, production designer Sarah Greenwood and cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto had to create this entire world from scratch. Because of the Toy Story nature of Barbie, it's easy to think it's, just a matter of turning on the camera. But consider the fact that cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto also lends both Barbie and Killers of the Flower Moon in that same year, and you'll start to get some inkling of the talent involved in exactly how to make a film look just that way. Of course, the core center of the film is Margot Robbie. On sheer beauty alone, having her star as the title character seems almost preordained. And the funniest line in the whole movie, uttered in voiceover by Helen Mirren, you know what line I'm talking about, is one of the biggest laugh out loud moments I've had in a movie theater for a long time. I'd actually say that in addition to starring in the film, Robbie deserves most credit as one of the film's producers. Teaming up with Gerwig to put together a murderer's row of talent on screen and behind the scenes. Names like Mark Ronson, Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish, making sure the film's soundtrack is as memorable as its pink visuals. The film's not perfect. No film is. The film's most famous monologue, delivered by America Ferrera, for me is a little bit too on the nose. She delivers it well, so well in fact that she was nominated for an Oscar. But I did feel it was spelling things out in a very literal way, which I, as a screenwriter, felt could have been done a little bit more subtly. Well, let's take a second to consider what I just said. I'm criticizing a movie about Barbie for not being subtle. A movie about a product designed for children is so good that my biggest gripe is a matter of degree of text versus subtext. Such is the scale of Gerwig's accomplishment. Clearly, on the surface, the film was not made for me. And you know what? Not every film has to be made for me. Clearly, part of the point of the film is that the world doesn't need to be designed solely for the benefit of men. And based on some of the sophomore backlash to the film's so-called men bashing online, Greta Gerwig was probably ultimately right to clearly spell out the film's message so that even a child could understand, whether that child be in the form of a little girl forming her conception of womanhood, or a grown man still childishly threatened by the very ideal of a powerful, independent woman. I find it absolutely insane that I felt compelled to write a full essay about a movie based on a child's toy. And that is 100% testament to Greta Gerwig and her skill as a filmmaker. I've actually already seen the film 3 times. No, I'm not a complete psycho. I saw it first when it first came out, then at that screening for the DGA because I wanted to see the Q&A with Greta Gerwig. Then my mother came to town and we watched it over a family holiday. And I will say that even though this movie is going to be forever linked to Oppenheimer just because of when they were released, I wouldn't say that my enjoyment of this film is a rebuke to that film in any particular way. Rather, it's an acknowledgement of the incredibly delicate tightrope that Greta Gerwig was able to achieve. Make a movie that, on the surface, reads as a purely cynical IP play, but take that and make it into a movie that fills theaters, instigates heated discussions about real issues on the role of gender in our society, all while making a fabled 4-quadrant movie that can be enjoyed by audiences across the board. A simple, somewhat silly concept with master-level execution that is entertaining as hell and can still remind me that I am enough. Thanks for watching another episode of Movable Canvas. If you like this kind of material, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. I try to post a new video like each month where we break down some of the best films Hollywood and the rest of the world have to offer. And please do leave me a comment. Have you seen Barbie? Did you see this or Oppenheimer first? And for women in the audience, I'm especially interested to get your opinion on Barbie as a role model for young girls. Blessing or a curse? I want your opinion. And until next time, thanks for dropping by. Have a great day.